Right now, millions of people are watching the Middle East, waiting for the final battle the Bible calls Armageddon. They expect tanks, missiles, a valley filled with armies. But what if the biggest mistake we've made is thinking the final conflict is about a place? What if the real battle was never meant to be fought with weapons, but with loyalty? The book of Revelation describes the last days in language full of symbols, beasts, seals, marks, and mysterious spirits. For centuries, believers have tried to decode these images, but one interpretation, popularized by the movement behind the Great Controversy, the final crisis may not be about where the war happens. It may be about who has authority over your worship. And if that interpretation is correct, then the world may be watching the wrong battlefield entirely. The Hollywood distraction. For decades, movies and popular cultures have shaped how we imagine the end of the world. Huge armies, gigantic monsters, a global catastrophe exploding overnight. But when you slow down and actually read the text of Revelation, the story is far more complex. In Revelation chapter 16, strange symbols appear. Three spirits described as like frogs, not monsters, not armies, spirits that influence the world. The prophecy says these forces will go out to the leaders of the earth to gather humanity for the final confrontation. But the keyword here is gather. They don't force people with weapons. They persuade, they convince, they create a power narrative about what the world needs. Because, according to the prophecy, the final conflict will be deeply connected to belief, authority, and worship, not just territory. The idea of a global solution. Step back for a moment and look at the world today. Modern society is exhausted. People are burned out by non-stop working, endless digital connection, and constant crisis. Across many cultures, leaders and thinkers are asking the same question. What if humanity simply stopped for a moment? What if there was a universal pause, a shared day of rest? Historically, many nations once had blue laws, rules that limited commerce on Sundays so communities could rest. Those laws faded in the age of global capitalism. But interestingly, discussions about rest, balance, and shared pauses have started reappearing in public conversation. Some see it as a solution to stress, others see it as a way to rebuild community. But for students of biblical prophecy, this raises a deeper question because one interpretation of the Great Controversy argued more than a century ago that the crisis over worship and rest would one day divide the world. Whether people agree with that interpretation or not, the idea itself raises an intriguing possibility. What if the final conflict isn't about destroying the world, but about who defines the rhythm of human lives? To understand why this matters, we need to look one of the most mysterious themes in the Bible, the sanctuary. In the Old Testament, God instructed Israel to build a sacred structure, where His presence symbolically dwelled. At the center of that sanctuary was the Ark of the Covenant, which contained the Ten Commandments. Among those commandments, one stands out. The Fourth Commandment calls humanity to remember the Sabbath day. For 6 days for work, one day set apart for rest and worship. Some theologians argue that this commandment functions like a seal, a sign of allegiance to the Creator, because it defines God's name, His authority as Creator, and His rule over heaven and earth. Meanwhile, the book of Revelation describes a mystery mark of the beast, a symbol of loyalty to another system of authority. For centuries, scholars have debated what these symbols mean, but the central question remains simple. In the final crisis, who has the right to define worship? It is God or human institution. According to prophecy, a moment will eventually arrive when humanity faces a clear choice. The Bible describes a time when the winds of global conflict are temporarily held back. But when that restraint ends, the world enters a most turbulent period. In the prophetic narrative, this moment is sometimes described as the close of provision, a time when decisions about loyalty are finalized. The imagery is dramatic, doors closing, judgment beginning, history reaching its climax. Whether one interprets these prophecies literally or symbolically, the message is powerful. Human history is moving toward a decisive moment, a moment when neutrality may no longer exist. This is the real question. The Armageddon trick, according to some interpreters, is simple. Keep everyone watching a battlefield, while the real question unfolds somewhere else entirely, not on a distant hill, but inside the human heart. Because the final conflict in Revelation isn't about only war, it's about worship, it's about authority, and ultimately, it's about who you trust to guide your life. So maybe the real question isn't when will Armageddon begin? Maybe the real question is who do you follow right now? There is a moment coming, and the 2026 global alignment suggests it's closer than we think, called the close of probation. This is the moment when the four angels stop holding back the winds of strife. Armageddon isn't just a battle, it's the result of God finally stepped back and saying, Thy will be done, to a world that chose a counterfeit rest. When Sunday law becomes a reality, the world will be divided into two groups. There will be no middle ground, no neutral stance. You will either be sealed by the Creator or marked by the system. The chaos we see in the news today, that's just the rehearsal.